So, I just I just recorded the Ruin discussion. Now I'm doing... You guys are guessing it because I said in the last video. I'm gonna talk about the Doctor and the dev blog. Now, it's gonna be different to how people are actually talking about the Doctor. Most people are talking about the Doctor like, you know, how they think the changes are gonna affect them, if it's good or bad. But I would say it's too early to talk about that. Because I know a shit ton of nursemains who said Nurse was being butchered, you know, and that she was just gonna be terrible after her changes, but now they're just playing her as usual. And more in depth of Nurse just before we start, because these are kind of, you know, on parallel to a point. Sure, I agree with the fact that Nurse isn't as good as she was after her changes, but in no way, if you're one of these people who say that they butchered Nurse, no, stop, no, they did not butcher her. Sure, they made her more balanced than how she was, but just think for a second, right? Nurse had 2 blinks. One fully charged blink equaled 32 seconds. The second one made it so she could blink up to like 45 meters. Survivors had no way of countering Nurse against a good Nurse. No way. So now, and everyone could play Nurse. Like, you would just sit on Nurse like for 3 games and you would be decent enough to get a 4 kill. And then like, what? 20, 50 hours with Nurse, you would probably become a god Nurse if you played her, you know, if you learned from your mistakes. You'd probably become a god Nurse in 50 hours the way she was. Like, fuck, dude, I know a Nurse. I think there would be no trouble in calling his name out. Jimmy in Oceania. I played Nurse against him. No, I played Survivor against his Nurse at one point, and the first time I played against his Nurse, I was fucking terrified. The game went on for like, what, a minute. You know, I can talk to people and check if it was actually a minute, but I swear it was a minute. And this was before the Nurse changes, and she was no out on Nurse, and she only blinked once. She only used 1 blink, and that was enough to get him 4 kills. He is fucking insane on Nurse, and most people are like this. They only need 1 blink to literally catch up with survivors and kill them. I think once people heard about the Nurse changes, they just lost their faith and haven't even really tried her out properly. The Nurse change didn't butcher her, it just made her more balanced, and you just have to be more accurate with your blinks. Like, you can use the double blink to, you know, shorten distance as you would, and then you only need 1 blink to literally hit someone. And may I remind you, you gain 1 blink by the time your fatigue ends. You gain like 1 and a quarter of your blink bar when you're fatigued. Like, I don't understand what the huge trouble is. It just makes her a little more slowed down. Sure, she's not as great as she was, but she's still fucking good. I don't know what people say when they butcher her, but this video isn't about the Nurse. Now moving on to Doctor, people are already saying either that they butchered Doctor, or they made him somewhat reasonable. But the thing is, how can you tell? Like, the changes in the devlog are so broad. Like, there isn't any proper speed changes or like what his speed is gonna be. We haven't seen him in action. We haven't seen what his power is like. Like, his thing is, the devlog is so just wide. You cannot say, oh, he's gonna be terrible, he's gonna be even worse, or you cannot say he's gonna be better than he was, because you don't know. Have you played him? Have you seen the actual things for him? No. The dev blog literally says he's gonna be super slowed down. How, how much? How slowed are we talking about here? Like, maybe they're focusing on the negatives of his power, but he's actually gonna be super good. Not super good. I'm not expecting him to go from like low tier to high tier. But maybe it's gonna make him somewhat decent, somewhat usable. How do you know they're making him worse when you haven't tried him out? My perfect example for this, when they announced Legion and I read his power, I was like, my god, he's gonna be fun, right? He's gonna be interesting. He's able to vault pallets. What is this thingy? What is this deep wound status effect? Wow, he's gonna counter all the loops, blah 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 blah. While in use when he first came out, he wasn't fun at all. 1, 2, he had no counterplay, but 3, it wasn't enough to get him kills. Like, he was nowhere as good as I expected him to be. Same with Spirit. God, this was actually fucking funny. When Spirit first came out, everybody was like, oh, she's terrible. Like, they read it and they were like, she's terrible. Then they played her, then they were like, she's terrible. In this case, on the rarity, I was like, she's actually good. She's a high tier killer. No one fucking believed me. No, everyone like laughed at me for saying that. And then I made a video on her, like right before her changes. Right? Spirit is thick and she was here to fuck you up, and back then I didn't, have my mic in my videos and stuff. But Spirit was powerful, and then they made like 2 changes. They made her mission just a little lower, like it's a little quieter and just in a lower range, I think. And then everyone went, oh my god, she's so fucking strong. She's the strongest killer in the fucking game. And I was like, what the fuck changed? These changes didn't make her like an A-tier killer. Sure, they had just a little bit more effect, but So, this is my main argument on the Doctor changes. You haven't played him, you haven't spent time with the new one, we don't have any speed, we don't know what his speed rate is gonna be, what the increase and decrease is gonna make him be. We don't know anything but what, like, the overall power. It's like reading fucking Spirit's power, which is, if it can load, there we go. It's like reading Spirit's power, which is tap and hold the power button to charge the Spirit while depart her physical body, leaving behind the stationary husk. Huh. While Yamoka's hunting is active, the Spirit may traverse freely to a new location, moving at a faster rate for a short duration. She's still confined to movement within the physical environment and surroundings. While Spirit leaves the physical plane, losing sight of all survivors, she can however still sense the scratch marks they live in the environment. So, just forget about the whole thing. You're reading only Spirit's power here, right? You don't know how she plays. You don't know that she can hear people. You're just seeing that she leaves her physical plane. When she does so, there's a husk, and you don't know if survivors can see you, but you can guess that survivors probably can't see you, but you can't see them. They can see your husk. So if you're staying stationary, they can guess that you're teleporting, and like that wasn't enough, you produce an audible cue at our current location, and once her power ends, the Spirit retains her speed boost for a brief period and her husk fades. Using Yamoka's haunting depletes the Spirit's power bar. The power bar will automatically replenish over time. The power bar must be fully replenished before it can be triggered again. Now, if you just read this, you have never played the Spirit before. Spirit is a new killer, right? You only know this much about her. You don't know at which speed she moves when she's, using her Yamoka's hunting. when she's phasing, you don't know how fast she's going. You don't know that you can actually hear people or not. You only know that you can actually just see scratch marks, which are broken, and you know that you leave a husk, which survivors can see. Now, if you just read this, the spirit is just, man, why the fuck would I use her? But in actual use, she's powerful as fuck, because you can see where, you can hear where survivors are, which helps you literally, know where they are, and they don't know where you are, and the only thing they know about, when you're phasing is that you left a husk, and that they can hear your, audible cue. But here it says the spirit will produce an audible cue at her current location, which makes it sound like you can pinpoint spirit's current location. Oh, now I remember what the change was. The change was that the spirit no longer produced the audible cue, no longer the audible cue was directional. I remember the change now, and somehow I made it for A tier. But, if you just read this, and they haven't updated this since the new change, people will go, what the fuck? This is terrible. The same with Doctor. You have not played him. You have not seen him in action. You haven't seen how he plays. You don't even know the way they change them is the way he plays now. Take Freddy's change for fucking thing. Freddy is nothing like he used to be. He cannot see survivors in dream state. You no longer have to put survivors into dream state. They no longer get like a speed decrease when they are in dream state. Like, they changed so much about Freddy and how he plays the game. He actually can pressure the map, plus he can counter loops now in a very different way. Like, they completely changed his playstyle. The old Freddy was put as many people into dream as you can, run Thanatophobia, smack him once, and then just pressure the game that way, or just do endgame Freddy. Because of his speed decrease and the fact that you can see them, chuck on Remember Me, and then chuck on Noed, and then just slug everybody. Boom! Endgame Freddy. Like, they completely changed how Freddy plays, and people I see in discussion are thinking of him like the way he is and how his power is gonna work. Just maybe they did completely something different. Maybe his way of playing is gonna be completely different, and that's what it sounds like. He sounds like he's more gonna be a anti-stealth killer, way more of an anti-stealth killer rather than just like a chase killer, which he was terrible at. And I feel like they kind of listened to Tide Time's rant about this, because if you've seen Tide's very old, like a year-old Doctor video, he was arguing that he was an anti-stealth killer, but he was terrible at it because it took time for survivors to increase their madness, and you were just wasting time trying to find survivors. And because when you zapped, you didn't zap the whole entire area, it was really hard to find survivors. I feel like they just kind of listened to Tide at this point. But I just want him to come out and see what he's good at, what they've changed, before I have an actual opinion on him. I think it's too early to actually be like, yo, he's terrible now, or oh, he's better now. Like, you don't know. Just give him a second. Give him until he comes out. The changes are soon going to be in PTB, like in a week or so, because that's how it usually goes. Like, a week or two after the dev block comes out, they usually hold PTBs. Just wait. Just test them in the PTB, and then we can talk about it. Right? Just spend some time with it. Not even in the PTB, because PTB isn't final. Wait till he comes out on live. Wait till, you know, what he's like. Wait till people see him, and then have an opinion about him. Please. It's really easy. Really easy. Just wait until he's out. and then you can have an opinion about him if you want to. I will talk about him once he comes out, and we'll see how he is. But until then, it's too early to have an opinion on him. And before we go, voice crack, the second discussion I have, which is kind of more important to me in this dev blog, I talked about this in the Rune video, but their justification of changing Doctor wasn't the fact that it was, you know, a pain playing him and he wasn't powerful. Their justification for changing Doctor was the fact that it wasn't that fun playing against him as Survivor. Look, I know behavior that this Doctor change has been coming for a while, and you actually guys know a lot of stuff and what to do, and you guys, I know, like, I hope that I'm correct here, but I know that you guys are also changing him and reworking him because he's not that great to play as killer as well. But if you go and say things like, oh yeah, we're changing him because the Survivor side of things is terrible, and that's your justification, and you talk about his current experience, you don't talk about his current experience at all, that's just bad rep for you. That just demotivates people from the Doctor rework they have been expecting for so long. That just demotivates people to play this game, and they just kind of lose hope in your decisions because your justification isn't either enough or just stupid. So just take it easy, you know, while writing devlogs. Actually, like, take a second, please. You know, this isn't the first time. It just, I love this game, and I, you know, want to support the decisions you make. But once you say things that are demotivating and they're like one-sided, it just demotivates people, and it gets all the harder to defend your choices against them. You know what I mean? So please, devs, take it a little easy. To sum it up, what did you guys think about this video? Do you guys agree with me? Which points do you agree with me on? Do you guys not agree with me? Which points do you not agree with me on? What do you assume Doctor is gonna be like? You know, I'm open to discussion, and yeah, take it easy, guys, and see you on the next video.